Hi, I'm Kate. Welcome to Blooms in the Yard. I'm really excited about this spring garden tour because I haven't shared my garden in spring yet, and everything's coming alive everywhere. The perennials are doing amazingly. The hostas are gorgeous. The potager is looking good. I've got irises, my peonies. I just put on some fresh mulch, so that looks really good. I'm not quite done with the mulch yet, but I didn't want to wait because we have some severe weather coming tonight and everything's looking really good. Like the hostas all look really nice, and so I wanted to share those in case we maybe would get some hail. We've had a lot of severe weather lately and a lot of rain coming up in the next few days. So I did want to share everything that's blooming right now. So I'm really excited to share this with you, and I hope that it inspires you. I just think that the garden looks stunning right now. I'm really enjoying it, and I hope that you guys enjoy this tour too. We'll just start right here in my rock garden. Nothing blooming here, but just the fresh spring growth looks so pretty, and the fresh mulch looks really nice. I have one tulip, little species tulip that popped up in there, but otherwise everything looks really nice and neat in this area. Then outside of the potager garden, I just have one little container with the salvia. This is the new silene that I planted that's blooming, and some pretty penstemon coming up back there. Then my baptisia is just starting to open. I think that's so gorgeous. It's an interesting shape because it's growing right up against the fence, but I kind of like it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like the shape of a Stand By Me clematis. So yeah, really upright. I don't know, I might not get any blooms out of these peonies because I just moved them this spring. Let's take a quick peek in the potager before we move on to some other areas. So in here, there's some poppies coming up right in the middle, surrounded by the boxwoods. My climbing rose is coming back. I did have to cut it down to the ground because it died back pretty badly, but I have some pretty lettuce. This is Newham lettuce and roseane, and then some spinach, some garlic. This is a lettuce mixed in with some cilantro. That was not on purpose. I planted that cilantro in the fall and it never came up, and then I put the lettuce mix there. So now we've got both, which is fine. You can see a bunch of poppies and larkspur coming up in here. So that'll be really pretty in June. It'll be sort of a cottage garden feel in here in June. The lettuce on this side did not come in quite as well. Those 90-degree days really zapped it. The side's a little bit sunnier, but I still think it's going to fill in time. And then the alliums look kind of nice. A little more cilantro. This is the cilantro I planted in the spring. And then I'm experimenting with lisianthus for the first time. The asparagus is missing in action. I don't know what happened, so yikes. This Opulus viburnum is definitely like the superstar of the garden right now. It's just amazing. The only thing about it is it does droop a little. It was not drooping before we got a big rainstorm, and then it started drooping, but it's kind of pretty how it drapes over like that. But I'm wondering if I pruned it back, because if you look, see how all of the blooms are on the tips? I don't know. I mean, it blooms on old wood, so I definitely have to prune it when it's done blooming this year for next year. But I don't know. So far I've been trying to kind of train it to be more of a tree than a shrub. And then my container here looking really great with lettuces, creeping Jenny, a hellebore, and a pansy. The peas not looking that great. Just the weather just kind of made it hard for them, but I will have a little bit, but normally that is just all full with rows of peas, and just kind of sad this year. And then my raspberries. They're also kind of starting to die out in the middle, but I see I've got some new growth coming, so hopefully that will fill in. So that is the potager. This is a gold mound spirea in here. I now have two, so I had one before, and this one got moved from the side yard where I'm having to move everything for the storm drain project. This is the mystery from the demo house. It looked like sedum, but it clearly is not. So the jury is still out on that. We will see soon, hopefully, what that ends up being. In here I did put my cherry twist snapdragons. So I have one blooming, another one about to bloom, and then I just put two little alyssum in here. So I don't have a lot of luck with alyssum, but for some reason I still feel the need to buy it every year and keep trying. Oh, this stringy stuff it's an allium. It's a drumstick allium. It's been there for a long time, so I think it's kind of maybe just getting kind of small and crowded out. I'm not sure. But I got some fresh bulbs this year and put them in the mailbox garden of the drumstick allium, so we'll see on that. This is my penstemon area, so those are my showy penstemon, which I'll be super excited to show you when they start blooming. I think that the topiary is somewhat alive. I did just have to move that. The foxglove are doing well, and the abelia. Nothing super exciting in there right now, but if we come around this edge, oh, we only have one little blue iris left. We had some more the other day. My boxwoods are struggling a bit, hoping for the best. This is a spilled wine weigela about to start blooming. And unfortunately, those little species tulips I'd rather they just be gone, but they're planted really deep. They were planted before I built the wall, so it's hard to get rid of them now. I did just recently add in some hostas over here. So the one in the back is Great Expectations. I'm not sure what this one in the front is. Then there's some Lady's Mantle growing back under there, some ajuga, and then I added another two hostas here. They'll get bigger. Those are, I believe they're Blue Angel, but I moved them from another area of the yard. Then just my little spruce. And then this area to the left of the spruce is kind of a new little garden, a new little pocket garden here. Before, it was just a row of this sedum, the brilliant sedum. It was only about 6 inches wide. Last year, at the end of the season, I moved it out about 6 inches and added some ajuga. And then this spring, I moved it out about another 6 inches. So now we're at about 18 inches. And I moved a few things that needed homes from the side garden. So I have a clematis from the side garden, new to this spot. This Chartreuse hellebore was all one, and when I dug it up, it kind of fell apart. So that's how we ended up with 3 of those. And then this is a macrophylla hydrangea from my neighbor. She gave it to me last spring. It lived in my side garden last year. It bloomed even though I transplanted it in spring, but I don't know that it will bloom this year. This Mugo pine is also new, lots of new growth on it. And again, it needed a home from the side garden, and I thought that it would be nice to have a little evergreen on the corner here. I'm trying to save this guy. He looks a lot better from the other side. This side was up against the house. He came from the side garden too. So lots of things being rehomed. That's kind of the name of the game right now. This Firelight hydrangea also moved from the other side of the driveway. This is a Cliff Goldenrod, also from the side garden, and this Clematis from the side garden as well. So it's surrounded by, I think it's Blue Queen, something Queen Salvia that I grew from seed about 3 years ago. And I have 4 of those in there. I also just moved the Allium into here. I've always tried it in the shade and it's never done that well. So I'm like, you know what? We'll just try it in the sun and see how that does. The Mailbox garden is looking really nice right now. These are some of my favorite irises, mostly because they never flop. I think they're a pretty color, but I also just love that they never flop. I mean, so these irises were in my last house when I moved in, and that I was just new to gardening, and I just kind of thought irises always stood up. And then as I've tried other ones, I'm like, oh, it drives me crazy when they flop over, and I just got spoiled starting with some really nice upright ones. The creeping phlox is starting to slow down, but the Mailbox garden is still looking really nice. There's several things in here that I've moved. I moved the St. John's wort into here from the side garden, and maybe that's it. So I've got coming soon some catmint, autumn joy sedum, these are the Asiatic lilies that I moved. They were in front of my potager. That was like one of my first videos, was moving those. And then I planted this hibiscus last year. It's got dark red, dramatic flowers. And then just recently I built that support for my snapdragons and bachelor's buttons. The tulips are getting close to the end of their life, but I think still adding a lot of pretty color in here. And then the red back here, we have the smoke bush and the penstemon, which you'll probably notice as I go around. I'm just loving that dramatic dark maroon everywhere. Then I have 5 little petite knockout roses that you can see the work has started over there. I'll be excited when the blue iris fill in a little bit more. Just got a couple blooms this year. And then a few more perennials, salvias, and I can't remember the name of that one. I should know it. Not Veronica, is it? Maybe it's Veronica. I'm not sure. But several salvias in here. And then some Russian sage coming soon, and some light pink peonies. This is a firelight hydrangea. I can't remember if I said that. All right. So, and then this is another summer, it's sweet summer panicle hydrangea. So let's take a look. Hiding back behind this panicle hydrangea is a pretty Clematis, and it's just a shy girl. She's like really hiding. You can't see her from any angle unless you really get in here, but man, is she gorgeous. This is I believe Josephine is the name. So yeah, she's not showing on the other side of the fence at all, really. And then totally hidden by these shrubs, but she's very happy and very beautiful. and I'm thrilled to have her. I wonder if I can, no, not really. Can't see her from any angle. Okay. So then Japanese maple there, Inaba, Shidare looking really good. All of the tulips that were growing in this area are done and I've taken them out. So just the Allium coming on there, but this area is really pretty. This is the multi-blue Clematis. And it will bloom for quite a long time. And then this peony, I've found that the ones with the yellow centers, first of all, you don't have to wait 3 years for them to bloom. They'll pretty much start blooming right away when you divide them. And they're prolific bloomers and they flop less. So if you can deal with the fact that they don't look exactly like the doubles, I think they're well worth growing. And then I have some Allium in there with those. There is a really strange noise. Oh, I think it's just, oh, it's a bird. I was like, I thought it was something coming from this tree, which by the way, this tree looks terrible. I hope I don't lose this tree. I will be so sad. Let's see if we can see this bird. I'm getting distracted. I kept hearing this flapping. Oh, no. He just flew away. He was in that bird bath. That's okay. Yeah, I hope I don't lose that juniper. That would be a real bummer. And honestly, I just don't know why I would, but whatever. You can't control these things. A little bit of chives coming in down here. Still holding out on this Dragon Prince Cryptomeria. I did just add in a bunch of annual Salvia. It says it's cold hardy. I grew it from Baker Creek. It is the Amore Purple Salvia. And I'm sorry, I know those boxwoods don't look good, but the ones that I trimmed back didn't seem to appreciate it. So I'm waiting a little bit longer on trimming those back until I start to see some new growth. Here's a pretty iris. I don't know the kind on any of my irises because it's just a plant that's really easy to pass around. My friend's parents had like, not an iris farm, but like they were really into irises and they had like fields of irises. And so she'll give me a random one sometime. So then more of the Amore Purple, and this is Rose Marvel Salvia. So I have several of those. This is the only one that has already started blooming. But you guys, this will be blooming in November. So I mean, April through November, you really cannot ask for more than that. And then this beautiful red foliage coming up is my crepe myrtle. It's a cherry mocha. What is it? I think it's cherry mocha, something like that. So lots of really pretty foliage stuff happening in here. And one bloom. There actually is a little bit of purple salvia blooming in here, but it's kind of being swallowed up by my Rigucci Clematis. Oh, the Rigucci Clematis is gonna try to start blooming soon. And that's another thing that will bloom forever. This is right on the edge of the street where everybody sees it. I've tried to have things in here that will look good all the time. So the crepe myrtle, the rose marvel salvia, the golden oregano, all these things just, they don't have like a downtime, right? They just always look good. And that Rigucci Clematis is something that will bloom forever too. Then here is Wine and Roses Weigela. Oh, this is a dahlia that made it through the winter. It's kind of fun. This is just a gold mound spirea. I don't know if this is going to be able to stay in my garden for so long. Last year it was like 7 feet tall. It's a showy goldenrod. Man, it scared me. I took a bunch of like babies from here and there. I cleaned them out and gave them to somebody who has some property. But I'm a little scared of that plant. It's a little bit intense. These are some really beautiful, I think they're purple prince oriental lilies, really tall and beautiful when they come in. The boxwoods are really bringing me down, but the blue spruce looks really nice. So the tree definitely looks better on this side. I don't know. I don't know enough about evergreens to know what I can do or if there is anything to be done. I put some more of those dragon prince lilies there. I wanted to kind of spread them out. Hopefully they have enough room there. The tall oriental lilies, the Asiatic lilies, they are very reliable. So if you want to know something you can grow in full sun and not have to worry about, go for those. This is Bloody Cranesbill, and next to it is some of the Kent Beauty oregano. So then here is that Japanese maple. And here these are some freebie hostas. They're just plain green. We'll see what I think of those long term. And then that yew, I had to find somewhere to stick it, and that's where it ended up. Let's take a quick peek at this front garden. My front porch. I did I have some Tide stuff. Cleaned that out, cut back the Liriope. It was a little bit tall, so I would suggest cutting that back before it gets too tall to save yourself some time. This just looks really nice right now with this fresh mulch. So I've got one astilbe in the middle, and then all of these hostas were all split from that one, and some ajuga. I stuck this hosta here because it came out of the side garden, and I'm like, I don't really like that next to the Empress Wu. Kind of takes away from how amazing the Empress Wu is, so I'll probably move that pot. But I like that I have my smallest hosta right next to my largest. These are the mouse ears. And then this pot, it's just kind of crazy, but I'm letting it do its thing. It looks like someone who didn't know anything about colors or anything just put it together. And the hellebores kind of went so crazy. They got so tall and flappy that I decided it needed something else tall. So I stuck the yellow. This is just like a faux forsythia. And now it's all kinds of wacky. And I'm just letting it do its thing. We'll come down here. I think there's like a tin can or something rolling down the street. If you're wondering what that noise is, we'll go down there and check out that area next. I need to get my fountain out. My fountain goes right there on that little platform, but fresh mulch in here. These are irises that I'm saving from the side garden, and I know that they'll be fine in a bag for like a month or two if they need to. The Flowerful hydrangeas. I'm trying to find my tin can. I don't see it. The Flowerful hydrangeas looking good. Feeling really good about that. I was really unsure because I planted them last year and they died. Planted them again and we're good to go. The Annabelles would come out like 2 feet. Even more than 2 feet. The Annabelles pretty much took over the entire 4-foot sidewalk. So I put in these 2 Flowerful hydrangeas so that we can use our walkway better. And then this was an experiment. So this is a Hixie yew, and my goal was for it to get tall. tall and skinny, and I kept trimming back these crazy pieces, and I saw in a video somewhere that like if you want it to get tall, you have to stop trimming those back. So that's what I did, and it looks a little crazy, but I think we're gonna get there. I think long term it's gonna be okay. And then we're gonna go around the side and see how things are doing. Now the mulch is a little bit wacky over here, so I'm not loving the effect of the mulch right this second, but what happened is I put some like bagged mulch on, and then I got like bulk mulch, so that's the difference in the color. I did want to mulch this area. I added a couple big rocks there, and I added this epimedium, so I wanted to add some mulch, but it doesn't blend. And then kind of the same thing back there, it needed mulch, but it doesn't match what was already in the pathway. So here we have this epimedium, which I just recently moved. It looks really great. Strawberries, let's see. I had some blooms on it the other day, but I don't see any blooms right now. These two new boxwoods, but let's go look at this pretty Clematis. This is the Ville de Leon Clematis, and it's looking really pretty up against that black. I moved this yew just recently, and honestly I was not like super careful about it. I was rushed. I just wanted to get the Japanese maple in the ground. The yew came from that spot, and so I'm glad that it's looking okay. And I just have some perennials planted along this edge, so I have some catmint and some penstemon and some, this plant is crazy, the wild ageratum. It's crazy. So everything that I planted here last year died, but I've started some new things now. So this is from the demo house, Macrophylla hydrangea mystery plant. This was a mystery plant. My friend and I, our theory was that it was Coreopsis. It was like tiny little wire stems. Well, mystery solved, it's plumbago. I also moved some little tiny bits of this euonymus, Emerald Gaiety euonymus, and happy to see that those did well with the transplant. And then both of these Clematis, they're the same kind, are doing well here. These are stackies. The one thing that lived from when I did this area last year was, I think, a little tiny bit of daisy. And then we have a little bit of big root geranium blooming there. The reason there's no mulch here is because I like having the moss, but I don't know. I might have to give up on the moss someday. So then down in the bottom here, I just recently got permission from my neighbor to basically just plant whatever I want here. So I might be adding some Annabelle hydrangeas and hostas in that area, but for now I have some Annabelles here and some hostas along the edge. And then, where was it? I had a Franz Fontaine hornbeam. If you saw that video, I had a small one that I had put in the sun border, and I ended up getting a larger one. I moved this one here. Bunnies ate it down. It's alive. So there you go. Maybe I'll have a Franz Fontaine hornbeam tree there someday. I have a bunch of this blue Columbine, and I really love it with the Chartreuse Hosta. But this is a little box honeysuckle that this one is next to. And then some Brunnera. For a long time, this area just had these Chartreuse hostas, and then it was kind of like a ring around the tree, and I was like, we need something else. So I started adding in a couple of other things, and then I put one blue Columbine in here several years ago, and they have seeded around a bit, and I love that. Back here, I've got a bunch of Brunnera. which reseeds, and then I move it around to other spots. Recently added in this yew just to give it some evergreen interest, some dark green. And I also recently added some turtle head, so that'll be nice pink flowers that will be to the height of the deck there. I'm happy to report that this waterfall Japanese maple made a comeback. I almost wonder if I should have just waited longer before I trimmed what I thought looked dead, but you know what, it'll be okay. It grows pretty fast. I think it will be okay and look good in the end. This big root geranium doesn't bloom as much because it's very shaded, but I still leave it here because I think it's got a nice leaf texture. So the ajuga is really growing into the grass. I have grown ajuga for a long time. It's never quite taken off the way that this one has, which I'm thrilled. I think I just will probably move the rocks out. We'll see. Of course, once I move the rocks out, then it'll probably die on me. So in here, I did add in a couple of fresh boxwoods because some of them were just too far gone. That's Archangel, which looked like it was going to bloom and then got zapped. So I'm wondering if it will bloom this year. A little bit of celandine poppies still blooming. I did uncover my oak leaf and sprayed it with some stuff, so hopefully the rabbits won't eat it. Well, I'm trying to remember. Dragon Master is the name of this Japanese maple that I recently put in here. And everything just looks so nice and fresh with the fresh mulch. I did replace that sand cherry. I bought one because I tried to transplant a piece of one that did not take. This sedum is now I'm going to forget what it is. It's the native sedum that can take shade pretty well. Let's see. I have some wild Camassia. Is any of it blooming? A little bit over here. So that Camassia is a little more delicate than I was picturing, but I'm not complaining. I think I often have a problem with bulbs, and it is planting them too spotted around, right? I should just have them all in one big clump. I think they would look better. And I always make that mistake with my bulbs, with tulips and daffodils and everything. Daffodils eventually fill in, but the Japanese maple looking good. So super thrilled about that. Back here, I haven't mulched back here. I'm kind of waiting to see if there's enough. That is a plethora that the rabbits kept eating. This came from the demo house. I went back to the demo house and got more bricks, and there was a big, huge oak leaf hydrangea in front and kind of a side shoot. I chopped it off and I dug it up, and it's coming back, and that's really exciting. I love oak leaf hydrangeas, so thrilled about that. Now we're going to get into some of my really pretty hostas. This thalictrum's not quite blooming yet. Some ginger. Not sure about this hosta. It's the same as that one. This is a hosta June. And then a little bit of sweet woodruff. I love ground covers. Behind them will be incredible hydrangeas blooming in the summer. The primrose are finishing up. And I love, again, more Hosta June. I love them with the bloodgood and the creeping Jenny. Just all the foliage interest here, especially with the new fern. Loving it. This big hosta, I just moved here. It might take over some of the Hosta June. This is Francis Williams. It looks like it's got a little bit burned, maybe. This phlox is recovering from being transplanted still. Back up a little bit so you can see this area. This is a smooth hydrangea. I can never remember the name, if it's Garnetta or it's one of the like red ones. I find them to not be super impressive, but I keep trying them anyway. This is the new turtle head coming up. Yeah, we'll go over there and look, but this area that I just worked on, if you saw that video, that was all vinca back there. And I replaced it with a stained glass hosta, 2 Japanese painted ferns, and the turtle head. And I think it's going to be a really nice improvement. And then I added these 5 astilbe here. And the one, so all the hellebores have recovered except for this one, and it finally started to show some new growth. Recovered from that really cold night that kind of damaged a lot of things. I should say cold 3 days that damaged a lot of things. So I just added the bricks on the left. You guys tell me, do you hate having bricks on the left and rocks on the right? I don't know. But I mean, you're usually not looking at both. You're usually I'm usually looking this way when I'm looking out my kitchen window. Just a couple little things in here. More of the blue hostas that I had moved from the side garden. The Columbine were recently moved here. So all these rocks are from this. This is the state of the side garden right now. So I've pretty much taken out all the perennials and shrubs. The only thing left are the big things that won't be moved. Although these Annabelle hydrangeas, I think I'll move over on my neighbor's side of our side garden. But okay. So that's where these rocks came from. That was the rock wall that was over there. We're storing them here for now, but here's this little area which just looks so nice and neat right now with this stained glass hosta and the Japanese painted ferns. This is my attempt at doing like a river of creeping Jenny, and it just doesn't fill in enough for me. So hiding back there, I have another turtle head, and I think that's Dancing Queen Hosta. It's something dancing, so I think it's Dancing Queen Hosta. This Japanese maple's doing okay. It certainly doesn't look anything as good as it did last year. It had probably twice as many branches and leaves last year, but at least it's alive. I'll take it. And all the evergreens are suffering. And then my Solomon seal finishing up on its bloom, but a very beautiful plant. And then the coral bark Japanese maple. Just a little bit of water in our waterfall today. So I do want to show you, like, this is what my garden would look like if I did not weed and put down fresh mulch. So I've pretty much neglected anything that I think is going to get torn up by the city for the storm drain project, and it looks a big mess. So I'll just say that there is no maintenance garden. You have to pull weeds and you have to mulch or it will look bad. Okay, so this area looking wonderful. I'm so happy with the decision that I made to redo this area. It's just such a difference. This is the first year I've noticed the smell on these irises. I've heard that they smelled like grapes, but I just this morning I bent down to pull a weed, and yes, it's like a candy grape smell. So if you're into smells, you need to check out this iris. I think it's just like a variegated. I've seen a variegated that's a little more yellow. This one's a little more white. I get it for the visual, but if you're into smells, you might want to try that one. Then I have the Peaches and Cream honeysuckle, looking pretty. More blooms coming up there. And the honeysuckle tends to bloom for quite a while, like in and out and throughout the year. So super happy with that. The Clematis is being a rock star. I did put a little bit of annual Salvia in there. So starting to get a bloom on that. That's one that I grew from seed. That's the Serious Blue Salvia. And then this is starting to bloom. This is the Little Devil 9-bark. So where it was before, it had to get trimmed more than was good for it because it was right next to a tall boxwood. And then it's been transplanted. So it's not looking its best, but if I can I think it's got plenty of space now-ish to spread out and do its thing. And, if I leave it here for a bit, I think it's going to be really pretty. And of course, it's a really beautiful bright red in the fall. So lots of good interest on that 9-bark. You can see that this euonymus has new growth and has recovered from the transplant. I think that the lilac might still be recovering a bit. It's not as full as it would normally be. Here's one area that hasn't gotten mulch yet, so what a difference a little bit of mulch makes. And I'm also waiting for these boxwoods to recover, so kind of makes sense to not mulch it quite yet when I'm still going to have some dead leaves coming off. And then my little quick fire hydrangeas are leafing out. Okay, I want to show you. I'm excited about this tree because I just planted it last year. It is a dogwood and I've got some blooms, so I'm excited about that. Which technically they're not blooms, they're bracts. Yeah, I'm just excited about that. Now I'm almost embarrassed to show you guys this deck, but here's what's happening. It's a lot. Like when I come out here to water this stuff, I feel completely overwhelmed, I'll be honest. Let's see how my little bonsai is doing. I took him down the other day because a storm was coming. I didn't want him to blow off, but bonsai has survived. It's been about a week or so. So it looks like I bought way too many plants, but actually most of this I've grown from seed. And then a few things, I have a little trip I do every year with my friend to the Amish greenhouses in Windsor, Missouri. And so a couple of these are from there, but it's mostly all things that I've grown from seed. And I'm just waiting for the temperatures to warm up enough for me to get them planted. But yes, I get overwhelmed when I look at all this. So let's stop. Now we can come down and check out this garden below the deck. Just a couple of pansies and lettuce in there. The red lettuce didn't fill out, so it's not looking great, but some hostas, some astilbe in here. It looks kind of like a weed, but I can't remember what it's called. Something jump. I don't know. Something. I got it for free and was excited about it, but I can't remember anything about it now. These are my snowflake oak leaf hydrangea, which I'm thrilled is going to have blooms this year. I'm in love with that plant, and I've been waiting. It's a long time coming because it got eaten by rabbits last year. The Jacob's Ladder is done blooming, but it was really wonderful when it was blooming. Just a real delight in the spring garden. This Pulmonaria really didn't bloom very much this year because of the the temperatures, but still has a little bit of blooms coming. And then I just have a lot of hydrangeas in this area, so those are incredible. This is an unknown oak leaf because it's not actually the one that I ordered. I just can tell by the bloom that it's not what I ordered, so it's some sort of oak leaf. And then this is the wild geranium, which I just am more and more happy with each year. It just kind of fills out and blooms a little bit more each year. It's understated, but I like it. Some hellebore, some sedum, a blue hosta, some more mouse ears hostas, which these are filling in really well. A lot better than the ones in front. Loving those right now. And then this is my new Jacob's ladder and my Fern-Leaf bleeding heart. So these ferns, they're spreading around quite a bit. I'm totally fine with that. I really like them. They are a mystery to me, a mystery plant, because my friend just gave them to me and she calls them her Wisconsin ferns. So that's all I know, is that they came from someone's garden in Wisconsin. I do have one little bloom on this hellebore. I would normally have a lot more, but they got zapped. But I'll take what I can get. And then the wee hosta with that geranium in the background is pretty. It looks like the climbing hydrangea is going to try to live for me. Got some new growth at the base. I actually trimmed off anything that looked completely dead. And then that Host halo was new last year, so I'm excited about that. So lots of big hostas, or not big hostas, lots of big hydrangeas in this area with the oak leaves, the incredibles, the Host halo, the climbing hydrangea, a lot of big dramatic stuff over there. I think it's going to be really pretty. Well, I think we've made it all the way around. I almost forgot to show you this little area. So I'm thrilled that the Witchhazel made it through the transplant. I was concerned for a while, but then all of a sudden it was all covered in leaves and I was like, yes. I was thinking that maybe it had been held flat long enough. I was trying to espalier it, like a fan espalier on the east side, and I had it tied to a trellis. When I moved it over here, I thought maybe I didn't need to tie it, but it was definitely leaning away from the wall, and so I did go ahead and give it a new trellis and tied it up a little bit. I could probably trim it up and tie it up some more, but I think the leaves will get bigger too. We'll have to see what happens, because on the other side it was getting a lot more sun. Here it's the west side, but it's shaded by a big redbud tree. I really want to do something about the concrete. Like, the painters talked me out of painting it, and now I'm thinking maybe I should stain it or something. I want to do something about that concrete. Okay, I was just going to walk back through the garden, and then I saw this guy and I'm like, no, I don't want to see you. I don't want you. Go away. Okay, my heart has not stopped racing yet. It's been a few days since I filmed the garden tour, and I just finally am getting to mulching this area and like what a difference it makes. So I just wanted to show you. This area, a lot of leaves blow in, and over the last few years I've been mulching on top of those leaves. And so it was just really matted and thick with mulch and leaves. And so I ended up actually removing everything and just starting fresh with mulch. So sometimes that happens. And then there was another thing that I neglected to show you on the garden tour because I was like, oh, there's nothing in the side garden anymore. Well, I forgot about my wisteria. So yes, it was blooming and it's just so pretty. I am going to be basically just letting this go and starting over, I think. Because I guess I could cut it to the ground and try to dig it. I'm not sure. I know that Amethyst Falls is the American wisteria. And I was at a store and this was labeled amethyst. So I kind of thought I was getting the right thing, but then when I looked more closely later at the label, it did say Chinese wisteria. I know that wisteria can sometimes take a while to bloom. This one bloomed the first year and has always bloomed. I planted it in fall, so that next May it bloomed, and it hasn't really started coming up other places. So, but I have seen roots pretty far away when I'm digging for other things. Anyway, I'm not sure if I would probably try to get the Amethyst Falls, because I know it's the American variety that's less invasive, but I am concerned that maybe it wouldn't bloom as well as this one has for me. I don't know. But I would like to get another wisteria. The other issue with this wisteria has been that this arbor is not nearly strong enough, so I do plan on building a much more sturdy wooden arbor. You can see this is literally just pulling this whole thing over. It's really crooked. I really hope that you enjoyed this spring garden tour as much as I did. I just love sharing my garden, and I hope that it inspires you guys.